Yeah.
Looking like we don't have to get up and make a snow call.
Oh, I love it.
Yes,
I hear you guys for snowfall. Lucky lady.
So, you know, with the med, right, and that's, but it was kind of,
All right.
because they can't go to their local, they had to go.
Where's
to
Kathleen?
Hershey, which is like an hour and a half away.
Okay. She all right? Okay. Good evening.
Sophomore.
What is it, February?
It is February, yes.
Welcome to the February 2024 meeting of the Merrimack Valley School Board. We'll begin with attendance
Celie Wongnecker,
here.
Peggy Jones Blanchard,
Here.
Tracy Bricky,
Here.
Sally Hurst Dickinson,
Here.
Jessica Wheeler Russell,
Here.
Laura Vincent,
Here.
Eric Hansen,
Here.
Daniel York, I understand is absent, Owen Harrington,
Here.
Lauren Martin, here, and Melissa, I also understand is absent.
Thank you. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Could I please have a motion to accept the minutes of the previous meetings?
So moved.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Additions, corrections?
I do have
Sally? Why am I surprised?
some.
I'm no longer a woman of mystery. Under item 5, in good news, I'm recommending a rephrasing of the last line. It's a little bit confusing in its current iteration. So sorry, I'm working on. Right, so it currently reads, students spoke about their experiences at MVLC, the small classes, relationship building, and individual impact have changed their educational experience and life experiences. So my proposed clarification is the individual impact those have had on their education and life experiences.
Okay.
In item number 6, following that, I've got a correction to the spelling of Jay McPherson's last name. Omit the A, it's MC capital PHERSON. And then towards the end of that line, I would change the comma to a period and then capitalize the P. Item number 7, 7, long-range planning. The comma following the word meeting, I recommend that it's changed to a period and then capitalize the T in the. Item number 12. The second line down on the right-hand side of the page, I would hyphenate self-evaluation. In item 16, at the far end of the right side of the page, correct the spelling of Melissa Muzzy's last name and drop the E. And then just to clarify, are we also dealing with the minutes from the public hearing as well, or is that a separate
Yes.
batch? Okay. So let's see, on page 8, within public comment, following Lisa Laughlin, Loudon, and it's not just following hers, but there's a semicolon there that I would change to a comma, and I would make that change following the town name of the other participants in that meeting where there's a semicolon after the town. Let's see, and then, sorry, one more. I think I'll just leave it at that. I think that's plenty.
All right, thanks. Anything else? All those in favor of accepting the minutes as corrected, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. I will now open the floor for public comment on items that are on the agenda. Is anybody interested in commenting? Hearing none. The SAU report on business and finance, Hillary?
Sure. Is this one? Yeah. In your packet, you'll find the February 2024 financial report. Just some small changes based on expenditures since last month, but mostly due to special education, contracted services, and district-wide operation and building needs.
Any questions for Hillary? Thank you. Good news.
So the good news in your packet on pages 19 through 84, as you cruise. Yeah, we have a lot of good news to share. So certainly entertain any questions or comments about that if anyone has any.
Nick, you're up.
Alrighty. So I have a few sports things and then some other school news. So the Payson Cancer Center fundraising basketball games had a great turnout, raising around $1,300 for the Payson Cancer Center. Merrimack Valley High School field hockey coach and Hall of Fame member Kim Kenny received the Walter A. Smith Coaches Award at the 63rd New Hampshire Union Leaders, a celebration of New Hampshire sports champions. And that was a banquet on Sunday, February 4th at the Manchester Country Club. The Unified Basketball had their final culminating event versus Kennett, Concord, and Pembroke. So 3 different schools came to Merrimack Valley right here. It was a great event and very well attended. The Junior National Qualifier for ski jumping took place in Salisbury, Connecticut on February 3rd. And 2 Merrimack Valley High School student athletes qualified for the East Region team, both Austin Valliere and Michael Reynolds. Michael won the bronze medal, 3rd place, in the U20 division. Both students will now travel with selected teammates at the end of February to Anchorage, Alaska, where they will represent the East Region, that Connecticut, New Hampshire, Vermont, Mass, Maine, and Rhode Island. The East Region will compete against the best athletes in the country from the Midwest region, Minnesota, Wisconsin, Illinois, Michigan, the Rocky Mountain region, Colorado, and teams from Park City, Utah, Canada, and of course, Anchorage, Alaska. So congrats to Michael and Austin. Michael also competed in the indoor track Division II state championship at Plymouth State this past weekend and won, becoming the 2024 Division II 600 meter dash champion. And then school news, Winter Carnival is coming up. That will be next week. This is a fun week of pep rallies, spirit days, and a dance to end it all off on Friday. And then Thursday night in the cafeteria, the music department will be hosting Chocolate Fest. This is a really neat event. So what it is there's a bunch of chocolate in the caf, and you can buy chocolate and enjoy it while a bunch of performances are happening. So small groups, choirs, little bands. So they all kind of come together for a great night in the caf. So that is next Thursday. The Winter Carnival Dance is at the middle school, and that will take place this Friday night with, of course, DJ Nikki G. The elementary schools also recently celebrated the 100th day of school. So some classes celebrated being 100 days brighter by wearing neon colors, while others dressed like they were 100. So I have some jokes here for the Winter Carnival week. So we got some winter jokes. First off, what do you call a little snowman? Children. And what do you get when you mix a snowman with a vampire? Frostbite. That's all I got. Thank you.
Thank you, Nick.
Can I say something? I just want to say, and this is the sort of thing that's usually reserved for like when someone is done with their tenure as student representative, but I so enjoy your poise and your delivery as someone who works in broadcast communications and also teaches students to speak publicly. It is always a pleasure to have you with us. So I just wanted to acknowledge how brilliant you are at the work that you're doing at your age. I just think that it seems to me like you really know what you love and you're doing it. So I just couldn't help myself.
Thank you.
Thank you.
That's
Thank
great.
you.
Agreed. All right, moving on to committee report.
wait.
What? Huh?
What time is Chocolate Fest?
I believe 6:30.
It's so good. I went last year.
That sounds good.
Hmm.
And it's not this Thursday, it's next.
Yes, next Thursday,
The 22nd?
22nd. Yep.
Okay, thanks.
Okay, policy committee?
So policy committee has actually met twice now since the last meeting. The minutes for the January 22nd meeting are in your packet. And you have policy JKAA, use of restraints and seclusion, for a first read.
That's a really long,
It is.
complicated thing.
Yeah, it is.
Okay. Does it get used very much? I mean, this doesn't happen very much around here, does it?
It doesn't happen a tremendous amount in most areas that are impacted or specialized programming.
Okay. Thank you. Moving along, old business. The 2024-25 school calendar we voted on, but we're gonna just follow up.
Me again. So we did approve a calendar, but we were taking a look at a date in September, I believe.
Mhm.
Okay, so Mr. Druin had surveyed his parents in regards to their feelings about a potential remote learning day for just Boscawen Elementary School on that day. And the results were pretty conclusive. 63% were in support of it being a remote learning day, with only 32% opposed to that. And there ended up not being a great deal of interest in the Parks and Rec program from that survey.
Okay, I have a question. Why is January, wait a minute. Oh, January 25th isn't. Okay, never mind. Forget it.
There is no January
Oh,
25th.
no. January. That's the 20th. Never mind, I take it all back. So having approved it the way it was, do we need to vote again?
You'd be voting on the.
Oh, the remote day. Oh, okay,
Okay.
okay.
And there was one more piece to the calendar, and I don't know if we take these, I think it's just more informative here, but we're looking at, on that calendar, high school graduation date of June 14th.
Is that good?
I won't be a senior.
I'm just saying. He's
Not yet.
That's what's going to need to change. It's going to have to move up to the 6th.
The 7th.
or
The
7th. So
Oh, I apologize.
Well, it wasn't on the calendar.
So it's
No.
not on the calendar, but the board agreed a couple of years ago to make, do a set date for graduation as the second Saturday in June. However, with next year's calendar, if we didn't have snow days, that would put graduation after the end of all school. And believe it or not, we get people calling
Oh, yeah.
like now for next year because they're going to make plans if they have someone in the family graduating. So like, because it's been the practice to have it be on the second Saturday, I'm not sure, you can vote if you'd like, or just, give us the latitude to change that graduation date to the first Saturday in June, given the calendar.
And the hours would be fine.
What's
The
that?
hours for
Yeah.
seniors would be fine.
Yeah.
Okay.
In fact, if we don't have snow days, there's only 3 days after that graduation date as it stands. Somewhere around there.
Okay.
Okay, could we have a motion to mark
September 10th.
September 10th as a remote learning day for Boscawen and to set graduation for June 7th?
So moved.
Is there a second? Is there any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
And thank Mr. Druin for getting that information for us.
Oh,
It
you,
was definitely very helpful.
you're going to do something tricky behind me, aren't you?
Well, I'm going to do the presentation.
Oh, okay, okay. All right. The next item on the agenda under old business is the board self-assessment. And Randy's going to report on that. And I'm going to move so I can see it.
Tracy, the chocolate fist is actually at 6.
Oh, phew.
6 o'clock.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I would hate to.
O'clock.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I would hate to.
O'clock.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I would hate to.
O'clock. Yeah.
I would hate to.
O'clock.
I would hate to.
I had it muted, but it must have unmuted when I clicked in. All right, so we got 11 people to fill things out, which was awesome to have 100%, so everyone weighed in. So really, I just took the summary data and I'll just kind of read through it because I'm not sure whether you'll be able to see it. Up until the last one, they're all fairly short questions, and I do have the comments printed out if you'd like a copy of the comments that were made for each section as well. It just didn't flow very well as far as having it presented. But I might want to sing when I have a mic in my hand. Hey, you never know what's going to happen. All right, so under the category policy, and what the percentages down below are calculated just on the fully achieve and mostly achieve. I just threw that number just as one more reference as you're looking at these bar graphs. So the first question, the board has established a process for regular and routine policy review, 91%. The board has in place all policies required by law. So there were a couple of people, assuming probably the new folks to the board, that maybe don't know about that, but that's sort of an annual, semi-annual process that takes place that was me, now Catherine, going through all policies, matching it up with the School Board Association and what they put out for things that are required by law and things that are suggested. We basically take both of those categories and make sure that we have those in our repertoire. So the third one, that the board policies are updated on a regular basis. You certainly approve enough from month to month that is 100% on that. Long-range plan. The board has an active long-range plan, which is being implemented, 91%. The board is meeting goals established under the long-range plan. A couple folks that weren't sure, 82%. The third category, the long-range plan aims to enhance or improve student academic outcomes, 82%. Relationship with the superintendent. First one, the board provides the superintendent with clear expectations of performance, 82%. The board trusts the superintendent to make proper decisions relative to student matters, staff oversight, and academic achievement, 100%. Communication with the public. The board is transparent and makes information available, 73%. The board fosters communication of good news to the public, based on the almost 60 pages of good news. I think that it's good that we got 100% on that. The third question, the board seeks and allows input from all stakeholder and constituency groups, 91%. Effective board meeting. So I'm going to toggle a little bit here to go and show you what those questions are. But if you notice, like the first three are all 100%. And the first three questions are: board meetings are productive. The board regularly addresses all agenda items. Agenda items relate to the matters that the board's within the board's roles and responsibilities, and dialogue among board members is respectful and considerate. And then the last two, both at 91%, fall into the category of all board members come prepared to discuss all agenda items, and board members have been given sufficient info or data to make informed decisions. So I think overall, the assessment provided, some things that the board feels that they're doing well, and maybe a couple of rooms that we can tweak them. I think some of them, like, me explaining the policy process, and that's really on me and on Catherine for not letting you know that this happens, because you know that we're doing policy, but you may not know that we're digging through that to make sure that we're meeting things with the law. Now, it can get confusing because right now is legislative season, and just because you hear about a bill doesn't mean that there's a policy that's attached to that bill. And some of them get passed and they're not going to take place for another year or so. So we're not going to jump into a policy just because it got passed if it has a year's waiting period. Same thing with if we haven't seen a sample or a model policy from the School Board Association. For us to take hours to formulate policy and then get it to our lawyers, when we can take that, the one done by the lawyers at the School Board Association, would, isn't a smart use of either our time or money. So we do hold off at times for that. So certainly.
Can you share that with us?
Yeah, sure. Yep.
Thank you.
And I also have the comments. I can pass this out if there's any, if anyone has, you can read through these. And there's a couple of comments that when Sealy saw them, kind of, okay, so I can find the that had Sealy give me some direction for that based on some of the questions. So as you get a copy of this, thank you, Hillary. When it comes to comments related to relationship with the superintendent, we're at a, if we jump back to that screen, the numbers were 82% and 100%. And in the first one, the board provides the superintendent with clear expectations of performance. Sealy mentioned about the evaluation of the superintendent, and it's been, I think it's had a few different iterations, I guess, over the years. So Sealy asked me to dig in and do something similar to this for folks to consider. So I have been collecting a variety of superintendent evaluations, and based on a white paper from the AASA, which is the American Association of Superintendents. So I will, my intent is to put something together for you and maybe get it to you at the April meeting, so you can complete it before the SAU meeting. I'll do the same with the Andover board. And then we can go through and have a process at that SAU board meeting where you go through some of that superintendent evaluation. Try to keep it, I think, with simple sorts of things and in categories, so that it's not just buckshot of a variety of different topics. So there's maybe 5 or 6 categories, and a few questions in each one, so that we can look at if there's certain aspects that if I need some help in one particular area, then that can be part of the goals for the following year. So that's one example of something that came out of the comments. And as you read through those comments, if you have any thoughts, I'm happy to. This is everything that was there, but I'm happy to talk through any of those.
So this particular metric, the board provides the superintendent with clear expectations of performance. So that's what we think about how we're doing. I'm wondering, do you think we do that? I mean, do you feel like we're communicating clearly with you?
I think I know what I'm supposed to be doing, and it's as far as from the board standpoint, and I try to hit those things, but I think is there one document which, I mean, I guess my job description says that, but as far as at the meetings when we have these discussions, I know that when I get that feedback from you, whether it's to communicate with the public or to come up with a statement about something that has come up. I take those as my marching orders, and I certainly feel like direction. I don't. I'm not rudderless, even if I appear that way. I'm really not.
So, the reason we got talking about improving the expectations or the evaluation process was really because the last time we did it, which I think was maybe even a couple of years ago, it was sort of a free-for-all, and it wasn't well organized at all. And which is why I asked Randy to pull together something a little more formal, so that everybody's looking at the same questions. I hope that makes sense to you. I don't remember how many of you were there, but it was not a productive evaluation, and the goal here is to make such an evaluation a productive conversation.
Any other questions or thoughts on the school board assessment? All right. Thank you.
Where are we? All right, moving to new business. The next item is the warrant for the 2024 annual meeting. Do you want to say anything? Yeah.
So the warrant is in your packet. It's the same warrant that was presented at the public hearing. There were 2 edits. There was a typo under how many school board members were running, and I think a hyphen needed to be added. There were no petition warrant articles received, so there are no changes other than those 2 typo corrections. So if approved, I'll pass it around for a signature. Typically at this time, you would also sign the budget that I input into the DRA website. As of right now, that's still in draft form. I'll be sending that out electronically for electronic signature. We've been kind of going back and forth. I guess I threw a little wrench in the works with the collective bargaining agreement. The first year we appropriate nothing. And the system is trying to make me appropriate something. So we're trying to figure out exactly how that should be entered into DRA. And they did not have a chance. They did not get back to me today. So
You can put $1 and, yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
So I think they're waiting just to see how they want to do that. I think maybe if I put in a penny, it may round down to 0. So we'll wait in here, but I will send that out and it can be signed electronically.
Okay, so we should be looking for that
Yes, we-
and
I would need it.
signing it as soon as possible when it comes?
Yes, please.
Okay,
So I'm going to make a motion that we move the warrant as printed on the packet.
I'll second. I have a question.
yes.
This one, I think, maybe, sounds it. We had spoken, if I'm correct, 2 meetings ago about adding a tax impact to the warrant.
Not to the warrant.
Not to.
Not to the warrant, to the annual report packet, and that will be in that.
Okay,
Yeah, it doesn't become part of the warrant.
okay, perfect.
And just to clarify, most are used to this, but I have 2 copies, 2 originals, which I know really isn't a thing, but I've been burned once by losing an original. So I keep an original and the original gets posted. Yes.
So you're passing that around?
Yes.
Once we vote? All right. Is there any discussion? Anyone? The motion is to accept the warrant as printed for the annual district meeting. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. And your signature is coming around. Okay. The next item is manifests and journal entries. Tracy and I have, you've all seen them electronically. Tracy and I have signed off on them. Is there a motion to accept them, please?
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any questions, comments? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. So the next item on the agenda is the board chairperson's report. This will be my last report as chair of the board. Including my husband's time on the board, there has been a Longnecker representing Salisbury on this board for 23 years. And I think that's long enough. So I think it's time for the younger generation to step up. So I am not running for reelection, as I'm sure you all are aware. But I do want to thank you all for your support and help. It has been an honor to serve as chair of this board with the pandemic notwithstanding. It has been rewarding and a pleasure to do so. And that's mostly because the administration and the board have been remarkably helpful and supportive of me. And I really appreciate that. I'm going to miss you. Thank you.
And we're gonna miss you.
Thank you. Thank you. Catherine.
Thank you. So I have a variety of good news to share. Deanna Irving was, and this was more recent than the good news in the board packet. Deanna Irving was just awarded a $1,400 grant from Toshiba that the middle school will be using to pay for a water chiller for the mini fish hatching tank. Deanna's a 7th grade science teacher. High school students had an opportunity to attend, high school civics students had an opportunity to attend a civics and civility conference in advance of the primary elections that was held on January 11th. In downtown Concord. It was hosted by the National Presidential Youth Convention. It was a nonpartisan gathering where they heard from presidential candidates about why America's youth should be hopeful about the future of governance and civility in the United States. And we received a grant from the Oleanda Jameson Trust to cover our transportation costs for students to attend that. Nick mentioned Kindness Week that has happened at our elementary schools, and Kindness Month being celebrated at the middle school. Jess Jocks, our district math specialist, was invited to present in January to district level administrators at the Lakes Region Curriculum Instruction and Assessment Group. She shared out about the middle school math structure, the tiered math opportunities that exist there, and how data is used to inform student movement among those tiers each year. And it was incredibly well received and very much appreciated by other administrators from around the Lakes region. And final piece of good news, you may remember in past years we've talked at the elementary level about the Concord Dental Sealant Coalition, which was a dental program that was coming into our elementary schools and providing access to all of our students. Their funding had expired, and we thought that we were no longer going to have that service, but we we're fortunate that there is a new program that's sort of taking its place. It's called Carried Away, a cavity prevention program, very similar. And the program received a $1 million 3-year award from Northeast Delta Dental for Merrimack Valley School District, as well as Concord and Pittsfield. And Jeff Druin is the school representative on that committee. And so he was at, the award presentation was actually held at Boscawen Elementary School. So
Nice.
our students around the district will continue to have access to those resources.
That's great.
And that is my good news. Thank
Thank
you so
you.
much.
Thank you.
Your turn.
All right. So you may have noticed on the front of your packet, there was a picture with at least a couple of familiar faces. One of the things that Nick left out in his presentation, because he talks about school as a whole, what he didn't talk about was speaking in front of the state board. So on January 11th, we went down and they were looking for some information from student school board representatives and also ELOs. And since Nick is killing it in both of those categories, figured he was the right person to bring down there. And I don't know if you've seen any of the state board meetings, but to get them to all smile and be pumped up over something, it takes a lot. And that's exactly what happened. So we had the representatives from Concord. We've been presenting a lot with Concord at the state board level. And Nick, as he talked about, the board meetings and his role, and then when he went on to the ELOs, the chairperson of the State Board of Education, Drew Klein, started peppering Nick with questions, saying, hey, when I started, kind of as you did, Sally, when you started saying about his poise, and threw some ideas out to Nick. And from that has now come an opportunity. Nick's going to be on a local radio station, and he's going to be sort of expanding that ELO and some things to get his voice out there. So maybe he'll go beyond Voice of the Valley. Maybe it'll be, who knows how big that's going to be. So I'm very excited about that.
They did ask me for a joke, so I had to pull one out of my brain, but I finally got one and I got some laughs. So that was good.
I also got to hear another speaker. I don't know if you know about the the Sunrise Rotary Club. They meet at 7 a.m. on Thursday mornings, and they have a variety of distinguished speakers come in, and they've had the Chief Justice, and they've had folks from the AG's office, and very recently they had our own Tracy Bricky. So I got to go and be a heckler in the crowd and a supporter of her as she was presenting to the Sunrise Rotary. We got to give them a tour of the food pantry, which has led to just more and more. They have connections all around the area. So that's actually led to quite a few donations for the food pantry. So it was good for them to see it and not just hear about it. So that was a good experience as well. I recently met with Brent Todd. He's a city councilor in Ward 1, just to kind of talk about, some of the things that are happening and some of the rumors that are out there and things that are being tossed around. I'll throw so one of the more tangible things is the Monitor Way project. And we were talking about, timing and implications of that and what that looks like and what that might do to our community. A lot of that is sort of up in the air. Even though they're starting to, continue with that road, that doesn't necessarily mean that it's going to blow right down by the Concord Monitor section. The mayor in Concord has been sort of tossing out the idea of, and I hate to even say this, but because it's out there and it was said in public, I'll throw it out there about he wanted to investigate or at least talk about the merging of Pennacook with Concord High School and taking the Pennacook, students. So that was something that the mayor had brought up. So we were laying out, many of the reasons why that's not, you don't just do it. But that was, so try to put some of those things to rest, but it was a good conversation, and we're gonna have those sort of meetings periodically. Recently, this past Friday, Catherine and I were at the legislative session, update on some of the legislation and where it's at. So that's sort of set up as a roundtable, particularly for things that are impactful or potentially impactful for school districts. So some pro, some con, and just discussion about some of the bills and whether they're inexpedient to legislate or whether ought to pass, and just trying to see what the status is on some of the bills. And right now they're cranking them out. So as Mrs. Andrews can attest to, the number of bills that they're dealing with is very numerous. So, but that's, I guess that's it for now. Thank you.
Thank you. Where are we? Topics for the next board meeting. That's your organizational meeting.
It is our organizational meeting, but we also have a number of policies that we are going to bring forward that we talked about at today's policy meeting. We have a number that we're going to bring forward for first read.
So there will be policies on that.
Oh, yeah.
Do we,
A large
we're not
number,
going to
yeah.
set any committee meetings between now and then, are we? There's a curriculum committee meeting next week.
Because there's a potential for a change.
Yeah, there's, so curriculum committee is next week at 5:30. Policy, we've tentatively looked at the 18th at 5:30, but of course that will depend on membership of that committee. If there were changes to that committee after the
Oh,
organizational
Oh, you're
meeting.
talking the
The
18th
The
of
18th,
March.
pardon me, yes, the 18th of
But-
March.
but
I apologize.
Curriculum is meeting,
Curriculum is the 19th, next week,
next week.
next Monday at 5:30. Yep,
okay,
we have an ELA presentation.
okay. Anything else on that? Okay, I will open the floor to public comment. Is there anyone who wishes to comment? Yes,
I have two questions, and it has to do with the finance report.
wait a minute. You need a mic.
For the viewers at home.
Where's the signature thing?
It's right there. Oh, no, that's it. Okay.
I had a question on the finance report. On 1420 athletic salaries, there was an increase in coaching stipends. And what caused that?
I think what happened was we had some additional coaches added just based on need. So we've had just more coaching than we typically do. And I think in several cases in the last collective bargaining agreement, there were some changes made that weren't caught in this budget cycle. So those will be corrected.
Okay, then, and then also 2620 was the operating building services salaries. And there was an increase there of just over $104,000. What caused that? That's a lot of money.
I think that's just one of the system issues. We just need to make some transfers. When the 2900 function transfers were made, I don't think they were made to that function. So we just need to move some of that money around still.
So that means that when the budget was set last year, there wasn't enough money in the 2620?
When we approve the collective bargaining agreements, the money is put down in the 2900 function and gets moved up. So the money was there, it just hasn't been moved up.
Oh,
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Anyone else? Okay. We do need to go into non-public. Okay, it will be quick, but could I please have a motion to go into non-public session under RSA 91A 32B?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
That's a roll call vote, please.
Celia Longnecker.
Yes.
Peggy Jones Blanford.
Yes.
Tracy Bricky.
Yes.
Sally Hurst Dickinson.
Yes.
Jessica Wheeler Russell.
Yes.
Laura Vincent.
Yes.
Eric Hansen.
Yes.
Owen Harrington.
Yes.
Lauren Martin.
Yes.
Okay. We'll take a
So-
short break.